am very nervous. I brought my folder here. It's the little tag broke off, but it says allergies, bills, and hospital food. Where do I start? Where do I start? I'm like deeply uncomfortable with this, but I just need to get used to it because I've been wanting to do this for like probably 6 years. I've had my allergies for 8 years. Hi, my name is Caitlin, and when I was 18, I'm 26 now, I went to the hospital 8 times in 6 months for anaphylactic shock. And to this day, I haven't gotten any solid answers about what was making me go into anaphylactic shock, why now in the years past I continue to have allergic reactions to things, not as severe as needing my EpiPen anymore. I still keep them on me, but I still break out in hives all the time. My doctors have said I have chronic urticaria, which is just hives that will randomly pop up and go away for no specific reason. It could be external, it could be internal. And then also I have oral allergy syndrome. While it may not be a true food allergy, some things will just make my lips swell, my tongue swell, my throat itch, and make me really uncomfortable, but they won't necessarily send me to the hospital. Along with that, plus I have aunts on my dad's side who have true food allergies. There may be more than what I'm listing here, but the two that I know very well of is one aunt has a seafood allergy and the other aunt has a nut allergy, as well as sesame is what I know. A couple years ago, I just started writing out everything that I could remember about my experience back when I was 18, when I first got my food allergies, about like all the hospital trips, what I ate that could have caused me to go there, where I went, how much it costed, charting it all out into kind of a more digestible, singular place. I did keep a lot of the stuff that I was given just because I think I knew back then that I was gonna eventually want to make this video. One, to when people ask me, oh, what are you allergic to? Or what? No, that sounds crazy. Why is it like that? I can just send them this link now instead of trying to explain all of this. And then also, like, maybe there are some people out there who have gone through something similar to what I've gone through and can either point me in a direction or also maybe even comfort somebody who's going through the same thing as me, like have crazy allergies and nobody can really seem to give them answers. At least they know they're not alone. Let's start at the beginning before we dive into those folders. At the very beginning, when I was little, I didn't have any food allergies. I never had any allergic reactions to anything. Nothing ever sent me into anaphylactic shock. I didn't even get like itchy lips or anything like that. I ate whatever I wanted to growing up. I had no restrictions, and we had 2 gardens in the backyard actually. One of them was just a huge, massive raspberry garden, and keep that in mind because raspberries are going to send me to the hospital in the future, even though I grew up eating them. We pick raspberries, we had apple trees, we had all of the veg you could grow. I was eating fruit and veg like no problem. So that's weird, because now it's the opposite, unfortunately.
One normal childhood later.
I turned 18, so I went to college, and it was on my summer break in between my freshman and sophomore year in college that I just all of a sudden developed food allergies. So we covered, I didn't have food allergies for 18 years. I turned 18 and all of a sudden went to the hospital back to back to back to back. I'm gonna grab my computer and I'm just gonna read to you guys what I wrote about what I could remember about all my hospital trips. If you're here, you are here. So maybe put me in double time. Yeah, this is me spilling the beans on my food allergies. This is my MacBook, isn't it so cute? This is my doc, my allergy video doc. And I haven't looked at this in a couple years. So I'm sure you can probably tell in that video when I was working on it, I had like bleach blonde hair. It might have been, oh my gosh, like 3 or 4 years ago actually. So let's just go through this together and see what I wrote. My allergies started in summer of 2018 and have been an ongoing issue ever since. I just want to make it clear that I was fresh out of college. I was off of my parents' health insurance, so I was uninsured, in debt for my first year of college, wanting to go back. And this was a slap in the face from life. ER trip number 1, McDonald's Southwest chicken salad and vanilla ice cream cone. This happened sometime summer of 2018. My bill was $308.80. Mackenzie and I were hanging out like any other normal day. At the time, we were big into saving the beta fish from Walmart. And on our way to Walmart, we stopped at McDonald's to grab some snacks. I ordered a Southwest chicken salad with ranch and a vanilla ice cream cone. We ate our food during the 10 to 15 minute drive to Walmart. Once inside Walmart, we started to look at the fish and I started to get a tickle in my throat. I was annoyed by this sensation and I attempted to huff and puff the feeling away under my breath. That simply did not help. By the time we exited the store, I was audibly coughing every minute or two, trying to scratch the itch in my throat. I remember my palms were also itching too. Petco was right next door, so we went in to get our new beta fish, some tanks, and supplies. I distinctly remember gazing at these saltwater fish while scratching and biting the palms of my hands because they had begun to itch like crazy. It must be from my shampoo and conditioner making my hands and feet itch, is what I thought. Still coughing and itching from head to toe, Mackenzie and I stood in line for the checkout and I just couldn't handle it anymore. I told her, I'm going to go get some fresh air. And I rushed myself out into the parking lot and sat down on the curb right next to our parked car. From this point, all I remember is panic. When Mackenzie came out of Petco and saw me hunched over on the sidewalk, she asked if I was feeling okay. I looked up to respond and I immediately knew something was wrong with me. She looked horrified at my appearance. We rushed into her car and made a beeline for the nearest hospital. During the ride, Mackenzie was on the phone with her mother, who is a nurse, asking for advice on what to do. Go home or to the hospital. Thank goodness we chose the hospital, because by the time we got there, I was having problems breathing. And I do remember at one point too flipping her mirror down in the car and looking at my face, and I was shocked. I looked like an ogre. I didn't recognize myself. I was like, who is she? Who is that? It ain't me. Without hesitation, the ER nurses rushed me back into a private room. They changed me into a robe and administered epinephrine and other drugs via IV. I had so many drugs so fast that by the time my mom showed up, she asked how I was feeling and I told her my robe was dancing. The ER nurses told me that I was almost tubed because my throat was closing so much. I am so grateful that did not happen. I would like to mention that I have been a big fan of McDonald's Southwest chicken salad and I had eaten it many times before this accident. I recalled this salad having one bite. Oh yeah, I remember this. I ate the whole salad, but one of the bites stood out to me because it had a strong and spicy, something like cracked, almost like cracked pepper in my mouth. I don't know what it was, but I latched on to the idea that this was a poblano pepper and that's what sent me to the hospital. So currently I wrote 2020 Caitlin would compare the taste of cracking black pepper in teeth, but at the time I took the liberty to diagnose myself with a poblano pepper allergy. This wasn't completely random. I googled the ingredients for the salad and saw poblano peppers and assumed that was the spicy thing that I ate. I named my beta fish poblano, and way down the line in this video, you will see that I added poblano peppers to my panel test. That is one of the things on my first ever panel test. I was like, can you add that to the test? Because I thought that's what did it to me. May I also mention that I was unknowingly eating poblanos. Okay, this was a couple years after when I was writing this. Eating poblanos and Qdoba's regular queso for a while with no allergic reaction. But Sam, my boyfriend, Googled it and I stopped eating it out of fear. Thank you to Mackenzie for all that she did for me that day. Rip Poblano. He was a good boy. I want to show you him. So I hope I can find, he was a smart fish. He was a good fish. Betas are so underrated. Anyway, ER trip number 2. This happened April 9th of 2018 and my bill was $348. This is what I wrote. Just any regular day, I went to the local festival of food and got a container of raspberries. I went home and put the groceries away, sat down on my couch and started eating the raspberries straight from the container. I cannot remember if I washed them or not. I don't think I did. About half the way through a 4x4, like 1-inch tall container, I started to feel uncomfortable. Nothing was itching or hurting yet, but I just felt uneasy and something was really bothering me. I say my food allergies started April of 2018, but I think my first hospital trip was a long time before my second, just because I know even when my entire body started to itch, I literally blamed it on my laundry detergent and didn't give my food allergies a second thought. I did the worst thing I could have done, and I got into the shower to wash off the detergent. The moment I stepped my foot on the ground of the shower and looked up into the mirror, I knew I had to go to the hospital. Thank goodness my aunt was like in the home and I was able to go to her when this was happening. She takes me to the urgent care. I cried all the way there. Once there, I got epinephrine through an IV and other medications as well. I think that was when I was prescribed an EpiPen for the first time that I could carry around with me. The brand of raspberries was Driscoll's. This is relevant to my third ER trip. So after the raspberry run-in, my mom sent me some articles about how at the same time in 2018, Mexico was under fire for overusing certain preservatives and pesticides. So naturally, at this point, I tell myself that I'm allergic now to pesticides and preservatives. On to ER trip number 3. Oh, this is so fun. April 25th, 2018, organic blackberries and strawberries. This bill was $614.31. Okay, this one's real short. So obviously I had the great idea to buy some organic food to avoid my newfound allergens of pesticides and preservatives. I even made the joke, oh, I should buy some organic raspberries. Like, you dumb bleep. Yeah, so I bought some blackberries and strawberries that were organic. I wrote, haha, hospital. Even though this story is short, let me show you these photos. Insert pics. This was probably one of my more extreme trips. This was my first time using my EpiPen on the car ride there. My throat completely closed, so I had to use it. My entire face was swollen, and one of my eyes remained swollen for days after the event. I didn't even look like myself. Okay. I forget what brought me the 4th time, so let's find out together. Oh! Oh my gosh, I'm laughing just to cope because this is just... This was a bad time. ER trip number 4. Raking lawn and/or carrot drink. This happened May 8th, 2018. My bill was $440.83. 13 days after my last trip to the ER. Springtime raking old dead leaves outside from flower beds around a house with Sam. After raking for a while, I started to sneeze uncontrollably, and after a couple of minutes, I went inside to get Kleenex and blow my nose. I continued to sneeze over and over and over. I remember it was really nuts, and started to feel my throat close up. We went into the car, and during the drive, it became very difficult for me to breathe, and Sam used my EpiPen on my leg for me because I was too panicked to help myself. I instantly felt my throat open back up, and when Sam and I got to the ER, we parked and spoke with my mom on the phone. She told me to go inside. I was taken to a private room and hooked up to some monitors. The ER doctor who was examining me didn't seem to understand the severity of my allergies. He seemed annoyed by the fact that I was taking up a room. My symptoms were practically gone after administering the epinephrine on the ride there. This time in the parking lot, it really set in. So I didn't look like I was near death roughly 15 minutes ago. Doctor said maybe it was this ginger or coriander in the carrot drink. But this allergy, unlike my others, started in my nose and rapidly affected my breathing. I assumed there was a mold or pollen in the leaves that I was raking that set me off, but honestly, I have no clue. I was feeling hopeless at this point because everything just seemed really random. My mom came and spoke with the doctor and asked her what she remembers did this doc suggest a panel test? I don't remember if I talked to my mom, but anyway, she talked to the doctor because he kind of blew me off. Next, after my 4th trip to the ER, after the raking the leaves incidents, was when I had my panel test, which was May 16th. On this panel test, I remember the way that they grade me, I guess, is on a 1 to 5 scale, or with those little slash marks. Otherwise, if you don't have a reaction, it's just the 0. So if you have a 1 through something, you had some type of small, or the more ticks you have next to it, the larger of a reaction you got. So you lay down on a table in the doctors, they prick your back a bunch of times, and then they react how big the welt is that you get from whatever they put on your back. Some of the things that I reacted to, I had never been allergic to, like peanuts, oranges, etc. Also noticing things like onions and garlic and apples, making my lips puff up. I was sent a $1,508.62 bill. I got on a payment plan of $265 a month for 4 months, paid out of pocket myself. I was 18, making $8.25 an hour, coaching gymnastics at the YMCA, and I had all of these medical bills. ER5 trail mix with a coach who coached gymnastics with me. We were doing private lessons together. It was us in the open gym, just us two doing our individual private lessons with our girls. This happened June 2nd of 2018. My bill was $542.06. 25 days after last trip. Trail mix from festival. Bought trail mix, yes, had nuts, cannot remember what else. Ate half of the bag. It was a scoop your own bag, so I can't recall the exact amount. It was fine. I ate the half of the bag of trail mix and I went to sleep. I woke up early the next morning to go teach my private lesson, my private gymnastics lesson to my student. On the 25-minute drive to work, I finished the rest of the other half of the bag of the trail mix I had from the night before. Everything was okay. My student and I got through stretching and went to vault. When I was spotting, I felt the uneasiness that I felt when I ate the raspberries, and then the itchy palms and wrists came when I went to the bathroom. I saw my face covered in hives. I asked a coworker to drive me to the hospital. By the time we got there, I was slipping in and out of consciousness in the waiting room. I blacked out and came to one of the private rooms when they were putting the IV into my arm. That's what woke me up with the medication. I cannot remember how I got home. I think my mom picked me up that day. That was a bad one. That was a really bad one. ER6 max. Date October 1st, 2018. Bill $635. Max is, by the way, like a mac and cheese restaurant. Literally what it sounds like they just did mac and cheese skillets and mac and cheese this and that. On the way to teach gymnastics, stopped there and I had some lunch before I went to go teach my class. I cannot remember my exact order. I'm sorry. I remember there was mushrooms in it. I liked mushrooms. I got to work, and while the girls were warming up, I was standing on the trampoline and felt a welt in one of my eyes. I assumed some dust or pollen had gotten into my eye, and I tried to keep my fingers away from my eye and just let the irritation pass. I do remember when I was younger growing up, I'd pet my cats and then touch my eyes and they would get really itchy. So this is what it felt like. And back then, if I just didn't touch my eyes, eventually it would go away. So that's what I tried to do. But the irritation in my eye persisted, and I went to the bathroom to check. My face looked fine, and I couldn't tell if the bumps on my face were acne or hives. I went back to coaching and only felt worse and worse. Once I saw distinct hives on my arms, neck, and face, I asked permission to leave and drove myself to the nearest hospital. I was treated with epinephrine and other medication. Yeah, then I had all these tests done. I ran into a couple, one doctor who just didn't treat me well, my real allergist, and one doctor who I think was trying her best and just didn't give me the best advice. My first allergist, off the record, with the elimination diet. So yeah, I don't know. I wrote in here, I don't know if I have true food allergies. I don't know if I have an autoimmune problem. I don't know if I have oral allergy syndrome or if I have seasonal allergies, but nobody can give me an exact answer on what is wrong. Somebody in my family has some friends, and one of them was an allergist, and so she kind of spoke with me off the record. I went to the hospital, but it wasn't like a real patient. We kind of just snuck me into a room, and I showed this lady my panel test, and I told her about what was happening, and she gave me some advice. And I personally think that, of course, in the moment we were all just trying our best, but I kind of wish that this never happened because it kind of really messed up everything for me. So what she told me to do was an elimination diet. I don't know what the exact definition is going to say, but what she told me was anything on this test that I had reacted to at all, even if it was like a 1, cut it out of your diet, eliminate it completely. And then what you do is slowly over time you start to reincorporate the foods back in. So you have to go slow when you do these elimination diets with reintroducing the food back in to make sure that you're not trying one thing today, one thing tomorrow, one thing the next day, and then all of a sudden you have a reaction, you can't remember what it was to. You're like, oh my gosh, I've been trying all these things. So you have to go slow. So I took her advice and I cut all of these foods out of my diet. And it was a long, long list. It was not good. I lost a lot of weight really quickly. People at my job started getting worried about me. I remember specifically my pants falling off of my body. During that time, I would drive past McDonald's and cry, which was the weirdest thing because McDonald's was the first place that I ever had an allergic reaction from. So I didn't really want to eat there. I'd think of food and I would cry. I remember for 3 days, all I'd eat is like one sushi roll and I would like shake before I ate it. I was so scared. I sent my hair in the mail after that to get my hair tested. I can put those test results up here too. One of the things you'll notice between my hair test and my panel tests is they're very inconsistent. Some things I'm allergic to on the panel, not on the hair, and vice versa. Didn't get any solid answers there. I went to an allergist later on. They did a blood test and a second panel test on my back. And I can put the blood test results up here. They're not going to make too much sense. My worst reactions were to peas and cucumbers. I never got to see the results of my panel test. I've actually been wanting to call there and ask them if they could send them to me if they still had them. If I do that, I'll put it in the video.
So I did eventually get the results, and here they are. To be clear, this is my second panel test, so I'm not going to go too into detail, but I got them.
It was the same place where I did my first ever food challenge. The food challenge is where they have you bring in a food that you can have allergic reaction to. It's just what it sounds like, and you eat it in person with your doctor. And insert, again, all of the stuff from that day. I was really excited to do it, actually, and really happy that it went well. Since that banana food challenge, it's been years, and I have not done another food challenge. Yikes, so my camera died, and I was pretty much done talking, but I think I was just talking to myself for the last 20 minutes, so I cut out so many foods, and because of that, I just got this horrible fear around trying new foods. I go to Festival Foods and I get a carrot. I will eat it no problem because that's where I get my carrots from. I know they're okay, but if you got me a carrot from Walmart, I would not eat it. Or even if at Festival Foods you got me like a baby carrot and it was one of the pre-cut ones, those carrots are scary to me. There's just something here. It's this logic versus emotion. Logically, the carrot should be fine to eat. Emotionally, can't get myself to do it. It's embarrassing, and I get the same things every single time. It's hard for me to, like how I said, when people ask me, oh, tell me about your food allergies. How can I ever communicate this to somebody? It's hard to tell people because it doesn't make too much sense even to me. So I'm 26. I got these allergies when I was 18, and even after all my hospital trips, which were pretty brief, they're in like the beginning of my allergy journey, it's still bad. And so this is like if you one gesture were to sum up my food allergies, it'd be this one. Yeah. That's it. That's the story of how I went to the ER 6 times in 8 months. got really scared of trying new foods.